Hi everyone, Tammy here, Flannel Chick MTB. Welcome to my channel. I'm coming to you today from Kananaskis Alberta in beautiful West Bragg Creek. Thanks for joining me. Today's video is number 5 of 5 game changers for beginner mountain bikers. Now, as beautiful as it is here, I sure wish we were 4 months ahead, maybe July, because if we were, I'd be coming to you instead from a chairlift, because today's video, game changer number 5, is about how riding bike park made a significant difference in my progress and my confidence on the bike. So join me today for a ride, and I'll share how and why riding bike park is a game changer. Now, if you're brand new to mountain biking, or maybe you've been riding for a while, but because of where you live or for other reasons maybe, you've never ridden bike park. And today's video, I want to talk about how, regardless of how new you are to mountain biking, or regardless of the type of riding that you prefer to do, there is so much bang to your buck in terms of time on your bike at a bike park. I know for me, and I'm sure I'm not alone in this, riding bike park felt quite intimidating. When you watch social media, or even when you see advertisements for bike parks, it often gives the impression that riding bike park is for really advanced riders or people who want to jump and invert their bike. If you've ever stood at the base of a chairlift, at the base of a mountain in a bike park, it's understandable that it would seem pretty intimidating, especially if you think about what it looks like at the base of Whistler Bike Park, where you see all these incredible riders coming off the last jump on A-line. This summer I'm going to take you to some bike parks, and I'm going to spend some time on some green and blue trails, so that you can get a nice look at how accessible bike park is for all levels of riders. In my last video, Game Changer 4, I talked about sessioning and what a needle mover sessioning was for me. And that video really relates to today's video about bike park. And I'll tell you why. But if you haven't seen that video, the description is, or the link is in the description below. Or you can hit the thumbnail at the end of this video. It'll take you to that one. Because of how bike parks are designed, it really makes it easy for you to ride the types of trails that you really love, or to session, to practice the types of trails that you're wanting to make some progress on. If you're not familiar with bike parks, the trails in parks tend to be classified as either flow or technical. Technical being usually single track, more narrow, rooty, rocky, and flow trails, sometimes being machine groomed, wider, with berms and sometimes jumps. Berms often on green trails, jumps not on green trails normally. And if they are, they're definitely not mandatory. You can ride around them. So right off the bat, when you're riding a bike park, you have a lot of choice in terms of the type of trail you're going to be on and the type of features you might encounter because of how trails are classified. So not only are they classified in terms of whether they're a technical or a flow trail, but they're classified in terms of difficulty. Green being beginner, blue intermediate, black advanced. Hi there. Thank you. Double blacks and then the red pro lines. If you're nervous about riding bike park, but you've been mountain biking, you're a green rider, maybe a blue rider, but you haven't had the opportunity yet to ride bike park, and you're wondering what to expect. Hi, thank you. I think it's fair to say that thank you. Green bike park trails are absolutely no more difficult than the green trails that you probably already ride. They tend to be designed for beginner mountain bikers. They often tend to be wide, so it's really easy to scan the trail to know what's coming. They don't tend to have a lot of obstacles to navigate. But of course, when you're standing at the base of a hill, a bike park hill, you can't really see those green trails from the base. And so it makes sense. There might be some apprehension about what you're getting yourself into if you load the lift and you dismount at the top and drop in. But as I said earlier, I'm going to bring you along on some of my bike park trips this summer so that you can get a first-hand look at what those beginner and intermediate trails look like. And if you're curious what some of the black look like as well. Now, because trails are classified as flow or technical, if you're wanting to ride berms, because there's not a lot of natural trail. Hello. Not a lot of natural trail, obviously, have berms. So if that's something that you are wanting to work on, the nice thing about bike park is you can simply stick to those flow trails and practice your skills riding berms, corners. And if you wanted to, you could spend an entire day just practicing that one skill. If you were riding your local natural trails, it'd be really difficult to get in a full day of just riding berms, for instance. One of the other reasons bike park is such a bang for your buck in terms of progression is the chairlift. If you watched my video 1, video 2, I shared how I started mountain biking and how hesitant and reluctant I was. I shared about my ridiculous fear of heights and how I'm so afraid I actually have been known to cry on the chairlift. Hi, thank you.
Look at that big smile, you must be loving this.
And so let's talk chairlifts. Knowing how I feel about heights, my history on chairlifts, it's bizarre for me to have anything good to say about them. But they are a huge needle mover in terms of skill progression. I live in the foothills of the Canadian Rockies and spend a lot of time riding in the mountains when I'm not riding urban trails, city trails. And what that means is there really is a lot of elevation to work with. But practicing downhill skills means that you have to climb first. And there's limits to how much can be climbed in a day, still leaving me enough energy to work on my skills on the downhill. Thank you. So really, you only have as much down to play with as you can climb. And trying new, scarier features, more difficult terrain, when you're tired after exerting yourself, when you're gassed, it can be hard. And that's where the chairlift comes in at a bike park. You can spend the entire day because you're not fatiguing yourself on the climb up, working on specific downhill skills. When I'm riding my local mountain trails, if I spend a half a day or a full day riding, a lot of that time is spent climbing. Now, of course, there are tons of mountain bike skills that revolve around climbing that are needed and well worth learning. But I think for a lot of brand new, maybe beginner mountain bikers, there can be a lot of fear around downhill, running downhill sections, or nervousness like me around speed. How to ride downhill berms, how to ride downhill rocky, rooty sections. And so downhill parks give you the opportunity to really focus on those aspects of riding that you want to build skill and confidence on, that maybe you don't have as much access to on your local cross-country trails. And because you're not having to do repeated climbs in a bike park, you have chairlift access. You can ride the same feature, the same trail over and over and over again. When I'm riding in the mountains, I might get a couple downhill sections or laps. But in a bike park, You can get 6, 8, 10 laps in if you wanted to, depending on the park, the length of the trails, your energy that day. And so that repetition is invaluable in terms of skill development and confidence. My last video, I spoke about sessioning and what a difference exposure makes psychologically for us in terms of our learning. And when you're riding bike park, I think that's one of the things that factors in. Is your ability to repeatedly expose yourself to the types of trails you like and to the types of trails that are going to allow you to progress the skills that you're wanting to develop. And bike parks offer such incredible opportunity in terms of different types of trails, features that you just wouldn't encounter enough of on your local trails to be able to advance your skill quickly on. Now, of course, no two bike parks are the same. When I ride bike park out on the West Coast, Whistler Bike Park, for instance, it's a very different experience trail-wise as a bike park such as Kicking Horse or bike parks in the interior like Silver Star or Sun Peaks. And so each bike park is going to have different trails based on the natural terrain that they're working with. But regardless of that, I think it's fair to say that all bike parks can accommodate all levels of riding. I don't know of any bike parks, and comment if you do, that don't have green trails. Now, some people would argue, well, some green trails on some terrain at some bike parks are more difficult than other green trails and other bike parks. And that makes sense, again, because of the natural terrain. Maybe it's rocky, maybe it's loose, maybe there's slate, maybe it's really rooty. Woo! That being said, if you're on a green trail as a beginner, it is likely well within your ability. I'll talk more about this in my bike park videos this summer, but you can always hire a guide at a bike park if that helps you feel more comfortable, confident. You can take a lesson at most bike parks that I'm familiar with. That's a really nice way to get a good introduction to a park. So some of the really basic skills that you get to work on when you ride bike park, as a brand new mountain biker, as a beginner, because you're not pedaling, you are standing on your pedals. And so that gives you a great opportunity to get used to standing, riding with your pedals flat. Because you're downhill and gravity's helping you, it's a really great opportunity to learn to modulate your brakes, how to work with your braking. Of course, you have the opportunity to get more comfortable with speed that downhill provides. I mentioned in my last video, Game Changer 4, about sessioning the drops at Whistler Bike Park last summer. And certainly skills like jumping your bike, dropping your bike can be progressed at a bike park. Most bike parks I'm familiar with have beginner jump lines, have green trails, blue trails. For riders who are wanting to learn to jump, many of them have progression drops. And so a day spent at the bike park simply focused on learning to jump, learning to drop, can make such a difference in terms of your progress if that's something that you're wanting to build on. So whether you're a brand new beginner mountain biker and you're looking to work on your basic skills like standing on your pedals and braking and looking ahead, or whether you're looking to learn to jump or drop your bike or ride more technical features, riding park really is such a great opportunity to immerse yourself in trails that give you the opportunity to practice in that way. Whether you're a brand new green rider, an intermediate rider, an advanced rider, there's something for everyone at most bike parks. And did I mention they're just so much fun? So I hope you'll join me in my travels this summer when I take you to some of my favorite bike parks, show you some of my trails, my favorite trails that I love, and work on some of my skills. Maybe continue working on dropping my bike, and maybe even learn to jump this summer. No promises, but maybe. Thanks for riding with me, everyone, today. Please leave a comment. Love to hear from you. And hit the like button and subscribe.